In this section, we look at how to apply the concept of the area under the curve to a broader set of functions through the use of definite integral. Suppose u sub I is a number in the subinterval x sub I minus 1 to x sub I. Then f of u sub I is between the minimum value f of c I and the maximum value f of capital C sub I. Since the width delta of x is greater than 0, okay, so this number, minimum value less than the value in between less than the maximum value. When you multiply each by delta of x, the inequality is going to hold the same way. And what is this? This is the area of the rectangle. And when you truly understand these expressions, okay, even if they might look complicated, you will remember them well. So now you understand this is the area of the rectangle, and we have many of them. If we add them up, okay, this summation sign is telling you we add up all the area of the rectangles for each one, okay, they still be smaller, like the minimum still smaller than the value in between and still smaller than the maximum. But what is this piece? By definition, this sum is the lower sum, and this sum of the area of the rectangles is the upper sum. Now, if we take the limit as n goes to infinity, okay, so we have many of these many of these rectangles. This number on both ends is going to be a. So by the squeeze theorem, okay, so a is less than or equals to the limit in between and less than or equals to a here. What it means is the limit in the middle must equals a. And this kind of summation, I from 1 to n, f of u sub I, so f of any number in between the subinterval, times delta of x sub I, is called the Riemann sum. Okay, so Riemann sum is nothing fancy, but use something that you will understand is area of rectangle, and you add them up. Now in here, you notice there is a subscript I. What it means is the delta of x sub I, okay, all together they mean one thing, the width of the subinterval. What it means is I is changing. So what it means is the width are not necessary equal lengths. So I'll show you an example of what it means. Okay, what can be counted as a Riemann sum? They don't need to be equal width apart, and they don't have to be infinite, because there's an n right here. N can be just the number 4. So this Riemann sum, okay, we want to find a Riemann sum of the function f of x equals x on the interval 0 to 2. So f of x equals x is a function on the interval 0 to 2, where the partition is x sub 0 is 0, okay, then 1 over 29. So this is a picture from 0 to 2. The partition is also not necessarily equal width, okay, so it's 1 over 29, 3 over 29, 56 over 29, and then 2. And your u, okay, your u1, so in the first interval, u1 is the right end point. On the second interval, u2 is also the right end point. And in the third interval, u3 is the right end point, and at the last interval, u4 is the right end point. But you can also pick any point in between. So how do we find the Riemann sum? So we call the formula. This is the formula. Okay? So you write that down. Okay, the Riemann sum is I from 1 to 4 f of u sub I times delta of x sub I. And that is, okay, so when I equals 1, f of u1 times delta of x1 plus f of u2 times delta of x2. Okay, so you write out such that you don't get confused all the way up to f of u4 times delta of x4. Then you just plug in the values, okay? So f of u sub 1, you plug in the number u sub 1, which is 1 over 29, times what is delta of x1? So how long is this interval? Right here. So what is the width right there? 1 over 29. So green represents the width. Okay, plus f of u sub 2, which is 3 over 29, times what is the width of this interval? Is from 1 over 29 to 3 over 29. So you subtract them, is 2 over 29. Plus f of u sub 3 is 56 over 29. But how wide was the length of the interval? So delta of x3, the third interval, from here to there. So it's 56 subtract 3. 53 over 29. Okay? Plus f of u sub 4 is 2 times. So how long is this? It's 2 minus 56 over 29. So that is 2 over 29. Okay? If you're not sure, use a calculator. And then you plug in the function value. Okay? F of x is just x. So what you're going to get is 1 over 29 times 1 over 29. That's the first area of the first rectangle. 3 over 29 times 2 over 29 plus 56 over 29 times 53 over 29 plus 2 times 2 over 29. And use a calculator. This sum is 3091 over 841.